Look now, this right here is one of those videos. It's gonna be super long because it's gonna be some pausing. So go ahead and get your snacks, man. Go ahead and grab your snacks. We got Doritos, we got Fritos, we got all type of stuff, man. So look, get your snacks, get your water bottle, this and that to the third. But this is gonna be a long video. Are men follow behind male feminists versus female anti-feminists? Middle ground. Straight into it. YouTube! What's good? What's going on, man? It's your boy B, and we back in the mud with another video, man. Jubilee dropped the beat. Y'all know we gotta come check it out, man. So here we guys go. Like I said, man feminist versus female anti-feminist. This is gonna be a hot topic right here. I'm already knowing. So, like I said, man, y'all get y'all snatched and all that good stuff, because this is a super long video, and I want you to feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the socks and some more shit. Let's get it, man. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the video. Want to see more content like this? Hit that sub button. We on the grind to 200 subscribers. Subscribe. Let's get it.
Can I ask you a question, though, or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good,
leadership...
that's a good thing. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of emotion right now.
Shit like that.
I like her. She thinking.
If you agree, step forward. Women have more privileges today than men.
Yeah. For the most part, I would agree.
I went back and forth on this one, thinking about the difference between more and different. I think women have distinctly different privileges than men have, but with this new feminist movement that is arising more.
I think I seen her on Fresh and Fit podcast. Let me know if I'm wrong, bro. I believe I seen, not her, but the girl with her chest and shit all out.
Different privileges than men have, but with this new feminist movement that is arising, more of the third, fourth wave, we are finding, I think, that women are placed and pedestalized above men in a lot of ways. There's affirmative action hiring and scholarships where women, sometimes even regardless of academic standing or achievement, are prioritized above men. But men also have different privileges that they get to access. I struggle to say more, but I think I do agree with the feminist movement now. There is more.
If you are born into this life with a vagina, you inherently have 10 times more privilege than a man. From the time they are little, girls are always like doted on, and you're so pretty and cute.
Very coddled.
They're coddled,
Yeah.
right? As they should be, you know?
Yeah.
We want that feminine, nurturing energy in them. You can kind of be a degenerate woman and have a hot body and be a millionaire on OnlyFans. Men don't have that privilege. Now,
Facts.
women don't have to like work to get a guy. They're just hot. And then
Facts.
guys come to them and spend their resources on them. A man has to prove himself. He has to build a body. He has to make money. He has to build influence. He has to become a protector, a provider. Women just have that naturally by just having a vagina, as I
That's
said.
why it's frustrating, because the feminist movement has been all about women acting like they don't have rights and acting like they have it.
So these women sound like they already know what's going on. Is it the niggas in the back? Is it the niggas in the background?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
The beta niggas in the back. Is that what it is?
Pretty hard in the modern day world. I can't think of a single thing that I don't have that a guy has, or
That
you
they
know,
only have.
like,
I would say the
that
one
they
thing I
only
would
have.
say is the safety thing. That's the only thing that I would say, is that women are disadvantaged from, by nature, women are not as physically strong. I mean, you're physically strong, but as physically strong.
I'll take it.
It's great biceps. And men just are.
Stop the
Walking
cap.
down a dark alley as a woman, you're gonna feel some type of way sometimes,
That's
right?
why we need guns.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the judicial system. When it comes to, let's say, domestic dispute, if a woman calls the police, they automatically show up, arrest the man. The Duluth model, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes.
And that's already in place. It's not necessarily like a right or anything, but it's certainly in all of the police departments. Is it feminism? Anything?
So the Duluth model focuses on men who commit the crime of domestic violence and female victims. His theory is based on an understanding of male power, control, and dominance as culturally and historically pervasive, and which allow, if not encourage, men to control women, sometimes using violence.
But it's certainly in all of the police departments, is if feminism is all about equality, why would you automatically arrest a man? When they arrest him, his name is in the newspaper automatically. The fact that a woman can
That's
say
tough.
Jane Doe and she doesn't have to put her name out there, what skin in the game is there?
And there's so many instances of that. I know men personally who have had domestic violence within the relationship with children involved, unfortunately. And the woman attacked the man in front of the child, and he's still, I know 2 instances personally, and he's still fighting to get the child back. That's from the Me Too movement. Congratulations. You guys got that.
It kind of invalidates the women who do come forward and who
Correct.
have faced rape and sexual assault and all of that, because then it kind of turned into a Twitter hashtag.
That's correct.
Where women were like, oh, you know what, I'm going to join. Like, this seems fun. Like,
For clout.
it's not
for
fun.
clout.
I think it's a mixed bag. I don't think the
Yeah.
Me Too movement was inherently harmful. It's the Me Too movement when you
Right.
couple it with something like believe all women. That's when it
Yes.
becomes
Facts.
And the
inherently harmful.
victimization
It
of women who
encouraged people.
aren't really victims.
The prompt is, do women have more privileges? We have privileges simply by virtue of being women. We have privileges with affirmative action. We have privileges in family court, and we have privileges as far as being believed and forgiven. It's
Correct.
something that should be acknowledged.
That's correct.
Can I have the disagreeer step forward?
I appreciated the distinction more versus different privileges. You can't just use a broad brush and paint the entire debate and say, all right, well, this is men have more than women, that's it. Like women that must inherently then have no privileges. That's not how it works. And that's where we start to get into the idea of like intersectionality, where another woman who had a different experience, if it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was
But
a
I
woman
don't
who
think we're
was,
including trans women into feminism.
and I
That's
think we
a
definitely
whole other-
should.
I don't
Like,
think we should.
Come on now, dog.
Might open the bag of chips.
Come
man.
on, man.
Start with the Fritos. Man, who's these niggas and where's they finding them, man? You know what I'm saying?
Stupid.
That's crazy. This is crazy, bro. We should chill. It feels like a live ice cream just about.
I think that trans women should not be a part of the feminist movement because a man, just because they
Before
you know,
follow me
wake
on
up-
Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. At B Twice a Fool and on Kick at B Twice, man.
feel like they can be a woman one day, could come in and then suddenly know what it's like to have a period or know what it's like to have a child. It's anything from men replacing women in sports to men replacing women on podcasts during Women's Month and when we're talking about women's health, or you've even got biological men who think they're women going to the White House speaking on behalf of all women.
I do have a question for you based on the prompt.
That's
though,
crazy.
because you've lived in both experiences, at least socially. I'm curious, when you transitioned to male and people started perceiving you as male, like most people did today, what privileges changed for you, or what did you see enter your life that you didn't have before?
Hold on, that's a female?
What?
Yeah, and that's sort of where a lot
Hold
of
on.
my beliefs in feminism do lie, is because being out into the world as a gay
gotta be a
woman
nigga.
was the way I was seen. Men treated me definitely not nearly as well as they did. I was bullied in school. I had people call me slurs, and it seemed like it was because I was threatening to like the male structure that we are in, where it's like male and female. Because I was a female who liked females, I was somehow infringing on that, and so they didn't like me. Things change naturally when you socially transition and are perceived by the world in a different way. When I transitioned from being perceived as female to the world to just pretty much passing or blending full-time as male, was that I got a lot more respect from other men. People listened to me and took me seriously. In a social passing setting, people aren't going to harass women who are around me if I'm walking with them at night, which is just a benefit I never thought about.
With caveat, actually. So I say that, like, yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society because I could get a woman pregnant, and I could just run away.
They could get you
Well, they
for
can
child
get you for
support.
child support, which they
But are you
do.
saying
Oh,
she can't
Stupid.
run
You
away?
go to jail.
Are you saying
They could
she
take
can't
your
run away
money.
from the pregnancy?
But you
yeah.
could
But
actually
yes.
physically leave.
Leave.
I
I
know
can
what you're
physically
saying.
leave. At the end of the day, like, I don't see women having more privileges than men because we don't have the same. There's no way to objectively measure it.
Well, and in the scenario that you pointed out, I mean, if a woman was pregnant, she wouldn't be able to get an abortion in most
In some
parts
states,
of the
no.
country.
Yes. In some states,
That's
no.
That's a
absolutely
major
true as well.
disadvantage.
You can't get an abortion, but children can go get a gender change at 12 with a
Feels
parent
like you're
at
very
15
fixated on that.
without consent.
That's
It
not
feels-
true.
It feels like you're very
as
fixated
someone who
on
went,
that.
I know the
validity.
laws as well.
I went through this.
I know, in some states you can, and in Thailand you can go at 16 and get your everything cut off.
Guys, it's less than 5%.
I know.
I know.
It
Such a
doesn't
small-
matter.
it's such a small
It doesn't
subset
matter.
of the
Let's
But you
be
population.
can't.
clear.
But you can't say that about. It does matter though. When you have a child, you're not a
That's
parent
between
yet.
the parent and the child.
Can I ask you a question though, or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good, and
leadership.
that's a good thing.
I know it's
Well, he
weird
was
coming
talking
from
to
me,
me.
but I do want to know. It doesn't bum you out that it's less likely for a woman to become president?
I don't feel bummed out because I know that if I want to pursue something that I want to do, I have every capability to do it in this country.
I don't feel bummed out. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, because we're too emotional.
I know
Shit
a
like
lot
that,
of
shit
men
like
can
that.
be impulsive.
I'm
I'm
Men
not saying that men can't be emotional.
Like we had a
Men are
president.
more
We had a president
logical.
who would literally just
And now
go
we
on
have a
Twitter
president whose
every
brain
day,
doesn't
every
work.
second.
Wait, 1% so she can hear us.
To be logical and to be sound is not something defined by gender. It's just something defined by your own psychology.
The left and right brain, it
That's just
actually
false.
is though.
That's
That's
just
not
false.
false. It's not
Come on,
false.
man.
It
Come
is
on.
not
Really?
false.
Really?
No, your question about leadership, I think, is a very poignant question because a lot of people are asking that. Why don't we see more female presidents? Why don't we see more female CEOs or Fortune 500?
For females in the leader position, shit is going downhill, bro. Say it one time again. That the females in the leadership position, shit is going downhill.
Companies. And again, it goes back to those gender differences. There will be women who will be exceptions to the generalized rule of what it means to be feminine, and those women you will see succeed in extreme leadership. But we should also discuss what the conditions of extreme leadership are. We're talking 80-hour work weeks, subscribing yourself to your career and nothing else.
Forgoing family
and
children.
Psychologically and biologically, women tend to lean in the direction of not making those choices for themselves, while men are highly competitive, they are highly analytical, systematic, they're willing
Shit
to
like
put in
that,
that
shit
time
like
and
that.
take extreme measures to gain career status.
Exactly.
But in an
Perfectly
egalitarian
said.
society, it's about having that choice to make that decision. And
Yes,
that's what feminism
but we
is about.
do,
It's
but
about
we already
having-
have that choice.
We
If
do have that
I want to go
But
own
it's
my own
being-
company,
it's
I
being
can.
restricted.
Like I said in the beginning, we've all agreed that the beginning of feminism was going in the right
Humanizing
direction.
women,
It
right?
was humanizing women. It was making them equal to men. It was giving us the same opportunities so that we can go vote, so that I can go get a job, so that I can drive a car. Like
She can
there's
run for
other
president if
countries
she wants.
that I know that we weren't talking about other countries, but if you want to talk about feminism, go protect the women who get beat up for driving a car
Thank
in
you.
other countries.
Oh, that's tough. I ain't know nothing about that. What country she talking about? That's crazy. You getting beat up, drive a car? Yeah, they way more strict than other countries in the U.S. Pretty much do whatever you want out here.
Men are falling behind in society.
I just think, I mean, we have amazing men here today. It's an
Oh,
honor
thank
to
you.
be on this
You
panel
barely
with
know me.
you.
Stop the cap.
This masculine energy. However, I know that men are not able to be men anymore because of the feminist, modern feminist propaganda. I coach men in my practice, and they tell me, like, I don't even know what I can do on a date anymore. Can I ask a woman out? Am I gonna get in trouble for this now? Like, I really like her. I kind of want to put my hand around her waist, but maybe that's gonna, I'm gonna be all over social media, this kind of thing. I think men don't have the balls anymore to just stand up and be a man, be dangerous, be fierce.
I want to respond to a lot of what
Respond.
you said.
Please.
Does anybody else want?
You make
The hands around the waist thing, it just really depends on what type of situation you in. You can't just walk up to a bitch and just put your hands around her waist and shit like that. You gotta feel the scene now. A whole lot of shit. She don't even know you, but she fucking with you and shit like that. She might. It just all depends on the energy you're receiving from the female. But like, yeah, it just depends on the situation.
A really interesting point. However, I feel like a lot of the reasons why men can't actively express masculinity in a positive way is because of the patriarchal structures that we have. Part of where I'm coming from with this is I'm trans. So I was born female, now I present as male. I came out socially and medically transitioned at 18.
Okay.
The feminist movement is what helped me feel empowered enough to be who I am and
Okay.
be a man.
And no disrespect to your process. I know it's a very strenuous thing that you go through, but I see a woman still. I feel feminine energy from you.
That's all right. I
And
totally
so when you
respect
say
that.
you're a man, then it's
That shit crazy. That shit really crazy, bruh. Wow.
like, I don't see that.
The way I think about it is more like about individual choice and individual freedom. And if I want to say that I have feminine energy and people view me as masculine or vice versa, then that's their problem, that's not my problem. And for me, that's what feminism is about giving people the choice to act in accordance with however the hell they want to.
But that's a
not
very
how
dangerous
feminism
society.
started. That's
to
not how
say-
feminism started, though. Yeah, we went from, you know, wanting equal rights for women and equality for women, and now it's
Humanizing
kind of
women, right?
humanizing women,
Yes.
making it to where I think we all agree, you know, women now are equal to men, and with like third and fourth wave feminism, especially fourth wave feminism, it's kind of turned into individuality, like you said.
It doesn't take a man to tell me how to be a man. It doesn't take a woman either. I can define myself as a man how I want to. I don't need somebody like Andrew Tate to be like, you're not a man unless you do this. I also don't need a woman to come up and be like, you're not a real man if you don't do this. And it's the same with femininity. I'm not gonna tell you how to be a woman. I don't think another woman should tell you how to be a woman either.
So what would you tell kids?
Yeah, like he has this. You have a daughter. Do
Yeah.
you really want to be guided by the ambiguous? Define yourself as however you want to define yourself, and for her mind to be molded and shaped by men who, no disrespect, women who turn themselves into men and then turn themselves back and say there's a lot of dissatisfaction when the root of the problem wasn't the gender, it was everything
Let's
else.
There's actually
slow
very,
down, though.
very
I
low
feel like-
I
rates
looked at
of
the percentages.
detransitioning, but that's
I looked at
neither
the
here nor there.
percentages.
Niggas is rattled.
Come on now, dog.
Here we go.
Come on, man.
That's also a minority of the population.
Feels like you're bundling a lot of ideas, which makes it hard to respond. But
Well,
I
because there's so much data to support
can you
these.
repeat what's the main question?
Do you
want me
want
to
your
answer?
daughter's mind to be formed and shaped by a society that tells her it's okay to be masculine and to be a man, and that she
Totally.
doesn't need a man, and that it's better off for her to be alone and put her career first and not have children?
I think it's more likely than not that she'll probably follow a more conventional path. If my daughter grows up and she wants to dress like a boy, like great. If she, for whatever reason, is experiencing gender dysphoria, like we would navigate that together. But that, to me, it doesn't scare me. And
That's,
I would all the more
want
want to live in a world
I
that
feel like that's sad because
Why,
it's a
though?
very, because my son, I encourage him. I say, you are to be, and I really don't care the backlash. You're supposed to be attracted to women. And
Isn't
I
that
tell
a lot
him,
of pressure?
and I tell, no, and I ask him,
But what
who
if
are
he's not?
Because life for transgender individuals, and my son's African American as well, is very freaking hard. I don't know if
Yeah,
we can
that-
swear, I'm sorry.
You can.
It's very hard. Do you know this to be true?
Asking people or putting pressure on your son or putting
I
pressure
don't
on my daughter
pressure.
to not.
I just tell him.
Okay, but to not be their true self, if that's truly how they feel,
that's not
feels
their
like
true
that
self.
would
No,
be.
it's- they're not their true
that's
self.
this like
Thank you.
that's this way it's
Thank you.
society has influenced everybody to
correct.
be
We
are
like
so off
you know
problem.
So when you say I can
I feel-
identify, I can be whatever I want, if I want to say, I'm Beyonce today, I can now just be Beyonce,
But do you
right?
actually believe that?
I do.
Okay.
Kind of
Wait,
like
wait,
I don't
wait,
think
wait.
you
Can we
believe
talk
it.
about
You
the prompt?
genuinely
Yeah,
want.
let's roll back
The
to
prompt
that.
about
Here's
men
the
falling
other, here's the
behind.
other thing. Men are falling behind. Is it because of feminism, or is there socioeconomic factors that we're not looking at?
Well, how do we
because,
define
well, no.
falling behind?
Let's
Yeah,
look,
what do you see as falling
What's
behind?
falling behind? So people in America, not just men, everybody is getting poor. This has nothing to do with
Well, that's
feminism.
not true.
No,
That's a mental state.
No,
That's
it's not
that's
true.
a mentality.
This is economic data. We're
I'm
falling
not getting
behind
that.
our
Well, you
society.
can blame the president for that.
Okay,
And
back
the other
to the
thing
prompt.
is, what do you define as masculinity? It can be subjective
Tell
from
us,
culture to culture.
what do you define
I
masculinity
think masculinity is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be this objective
How-
thing where it's like, oh, you're
Stop the
masculine.
cap.
Like,
Can you-
so it could be different from our society to another society. And actually, in some countries, like men who don't provide for their families or are not the sole provider are not seen
But
as
are we talking
masculine.
about other countries, or are we talking about the U.S.?
But even
right
here,
now?
actually, even here, there are people who will say that's demasculating for a man to make less money than his wife.
I appreciate everything everyone's saying. I do want to talk about the prompt.
First of all, a nigga making less money than his wife, that nigga time clock clear. If he making less money than his wife, that means she most likely running draws in a relationship. And we know what happens when a female get to putting on your boxes in a relationship.
I heard the prompt and I heard that, I thought about men falling behind. I thought more like mental health, like suicide is more common
Oh, we're
with
gonna
men.
go here.
No,
Love
but it's
this one.
true. Like men
But it's such
commit suicide at
it's not
higher
a cop
rates.
out. Like, I'm not saying mental health isn't an issue. That it is an issue, and obviously a lot of men are experiencing a lot of pressure.
Have you heard like the term death of despair?
Men are committing suicide more. Men are
Right.
dying from alcohol-related illnesses more, and they're also dying from drug abuse and drug overdose more.
Correct.
And that's an increasing trend in society.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
see
true. It
educational
is
gaps.
No, there's no denying that. Like, young men are abandoning colleges at a rapid
Yeah, it's a
rate.
lot of pressure to be a man.
They're also
Like,
far
the-
lonelier than women are
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
that's
women
so
are the
important.
least
Hold on.
happy.
Can I finish my point? Sorry. I'm like, don't let me lose my train of thought. They're abandoning colleges. Women make up, they enroll in college at a 60% rate. Women are earning more than men nowadays, right? So
I
Yeah,
don't agree
well,
with
no,
that.
that
Not
is
hold on,
true.
hold on,
statistically.
hold
We
on.
can get to the wage gap.
It's about enrollment. So are they having other jobs? Yeah, probably. But I'm saying, like, men are not going to these institutions. Why?
When you're saying lack of enrollment, there's more entrepreneurials in the entrepreneurial space than ever before in history. So I
Facts.
believe a lot of people are opting out of college, as we had,
Facts.
to pursue their ventures. So that could be part of the reason why
For
the
sure.
enrollment has declined.
Can I just go
But
back to a point that
it's-
you said really quick?
Yeah,
Where
go
you
ahead.
talked about
Yeah.
like the mental health of men and how
Me?
the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stigmatization of men addressing their mental health.
Yeah.
What system are we in that
Sure.
makes it so that men have this big stigma around our mental health where we can't
Yeah.
talk about it and the suicide rate goes
So
up?
I'll
We
tell-
are in a patriarchal system.
No,
Hold on,
that's-
let me
That
tell you.
is
Let me
the-
tell you.
Those
So
are
the
those are the
way-
bounds we are within currently.
There's a lot
That's
of
toxic
Can I have
masculinity.
Mason complete his point? I'll encourage you to let the other person finish the point, and then, of course, you can take it forward, but let them talk.
Just
Same
real quick,
thing.
the systemic structures we are in
Yes.
are patriarchy. That is what has caused men to have this massive stigma around mental health,
Sure.
where we don't feel empowered to reach out. Men tend to not go to therapy. That leads to suicide. That leads to all of these big things. That's not caused by feminism. That was happening well before the
So,
feminist
hold
movement
on.
came into these
Let
new
him
waves.
finish. There's a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, and economists, professors, all these people coming out saying that the actual psychology department is feminized. I know.
No,
It's,
I'm processing what you're saying.
The psychology
It's weird, but the
department?
way that everything's processed is for women. So women and men process information differently. Men are like this in their brain. Women are. It's all over. And like, what the hell does that mean?
Well, it's
It
left
means
brain, right
that
brain
When you
usage.
when you
I wish it was
process
that
like
simple.
men need to solve the problem
Correct.
before they can process the emotion.
Women are
Women
emotional.
react
My
on
wing
emotion.
woman.
all
Yeah,
the
that's
time.
it.
But so women have a tendency, not a tendency, they do better with talk therapy. That doesn't always work for men. Men do better when they are kind of working with a coach or somebody that's going to be like, this is what you have to do, and then come
Like
back
massive
see how you
action
did.
That's why mentors
So-
work. That's why men
He
need.
had a
So-
thought, though. Can we let
Yeah.
him finish his
So,
thought?
Okay,
the
fine.
same problems with the military, a lot of the suicide rate, even though there is therapy services, they're actually actively discouraged. And it's because of this masculine energy in the military, because it is still, even to this day, a very ultra-masculine institution. and there's these negative energies saying like, hey, no, you shouldn't like go talk. That's what these people do.
But that's
But-
toxic
Well, it's
masculinity.
interesting
Yes,
Well, actually,
but it
That's
comes
not
from
patriarchy.
it comes from a
There's
place
a
of
difference.
no, it comes from a place where it's like, oh, that's not what men do. Just suck it up and push on, and that's why a lot of these guys end up killing themselves.
But what branch were you in? Can I ask?
I was in the army.
Okay. So you're an athlete, correct? And in the military, what is in the military that makes everything work within the military? It's a structure, right?
Yes, it's a structure.
It's a system, right? Who
Hierarchy.
runs the military? Who is at the very top of the command?
Oh, the commander-in-chief, the
Correct.
president of the United States. A couple hundred years.
But I'm making a point here. So there's one person at the very top. Even if you take the commander-in-chief away, there's your general, right? Then there's lieutenant general, there's corporal, and I forget the, don't hate me, there's all those privates, etc. There's a
Sergeant.
system. One person is at the top of that system, and he has supporting members underneath him, all the way down to private. And that's what patriarchy was, quote, patriarchy was designed. It's a system of one person taking a leadership position, and they make decisions for the greater good, utilitarianism of all, meaning the family unit.
That's not really what
That-
patriarchy
And actually,
means.
that's
It
that's
is.
a
I
very-
looked
that's-
up the definition, actually.
That's actually a very.
I
ideal
literally
one.
looked it up yesterday.
No, you're good.
I really
lost.
need the male feminists also to respond because I feel like they've spoken 20%. Once they're done with their thought, feel free to interrupt, but let them finish a sentence.
Okay, I want to talk. I'm gonna talk. I mean, I do think men are falling behind. I feel
Bruh.
like the world is
I wasn't shocked.
changing
I
in
think
a
I'm
way
going
where
up
men
top.
don't have like a natural place to fit in, or it's not as intuitive as it used to be. And I think men are alone. I heard you throw out the word loneliness, and that does feel true. I just don't think that feminism did that. I just think like the world is changing.
What you said really resonated with me when we define falling behind.
Just loneliness as it used to be. And I think men are alone. I heard you throw out the word loneliness, and that does feel true. I just don't think that feminism did that.
Absolutely, bro. You niggas lying hard as fuck. If you can trust your woman, a lot of women want to be their own boss, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you want to be your own boss, it comes with a lot of masculine traits. That's why niggas is out here doing whatever they do. Remember that they probably been out here doing whatever they do, right? But it's even worse now. So loneliness, they can't find no wife, they can't find no one to really settle down with because we got all these Tatianas out here. You know what I'm saying? That shit deep.
I just think like the world has changed.
What you said really resonated with me when we define falling behind. What I think about with men is that high suicide rate, that likeliness and proclivity towards violence and aggression. I think about loneliness and not being in relationships with which young men are struggling with a lot right now. And where I feel finding common ground and feminism does get right in a sense is that we should expand our horizons as far as how we view masculinity. Men should be able to cry, they should be able to be vulnerable, and that's something that we need to access.
Hell no. Don't do it. If you gonna do that in front of your niggas. Don't do it in front of your old lady, boy. That's bad. I'm spitting this shit. Don't do that. Don't do that shit in front of your old lady, dog. Most women, not all, but most women ain't gonna really know how to handle they man crying and shit like that. Don't do it. Don't take the chance, bro.
But also, these men who are feeling disillusioned with the world right now, they are seeking out male figures. We've seen, the rise of the Jordan Petersons or some of the personalities at the Daily Wire or the Andrew Tates. They are seeking out somebody who's telling them, I want you to access those masculine traits and harness them in a way. I would say Jordan Peterson's probably a more healthy role model for men than, say, an Andrew Tate, but...
Stop the cap!
Shout out to Andrew Tate, dog.
Shit like that. Shit like that.
Men are going towards these more aggressive, masculinized traits and seeking out men that are trying to harness that for them.
Yeah.
I thought you made a really great point that I totally agree with, where men are looking for these role models of how to embody masculinity because we are falling behind and a lot of people don't know how to act. What's really important, and what I've seen, at least in my experience, like feminism bring up, is the idea of like Justin Baldoni doing his talk about being man enough for your woman, being man enough to be emotional, being man enough to support children. That's the type of manliness and masculinity I think needs to be embodied so that men can catch up and feel like there's a place for them. That's something that we need to focus on, is making sure that people know how to embody masculinity in a way that's going to be beneficial for everyone.
Imagine if you can make 2K or 5K or even 10.
Don't listen to that nigga, man. That's a woman talking, dog. Don't listen to her.
Should also be drafted into the military.
If you're gonna vote, you might as well be drafted, baby. That's it.
Yeah, I believe rights come with responsibilities, and we are all responsible individuals. Granted, I'm glad we live in a society where we haven't had the draft since, I think, Vietnam.
50 years. Yeah,
Vietnam, I think
yeah,
Vietnam.
50 years ago.
I do think that maybe like we should relook at the draft and as other options, not just military service. So I was in the active duty military, and I was also in the National Guard, and I've fought wildfires, and like I've done crowd control, I've done a lot of other things. If you want the same rights, you have to have the same responsibilities, and I think that's just universal based on what you
shit like that
and your abilities.
This was a very difficult one for me to parse through, because I remember when I was getting my birth certificate changed, and it was like, all right, time to register for selective service, and I was like, oh God, I have to make this decision now to register.
You don't have a choice.
I know. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I will go through with finishing all this legal stuff up and register. And I think, like you said, there's lots of other responsibilities that men and women of different abilities and different strengths could fulfill within selective service if we needed it.
Drafted, correct me if I'm wrong, would be going into war, would be physically going and doing
Not
the actual combat.
A lot of the draftees in Vietnam didn't go see combat. They did supportive roles.
Okay.
It's selective service, so you register to be potentially needed to call for multiple different responsibilities.
But some of them are gone.
Right, right.
Some
so
of them, there was some bad cases.
The part that I would disagree with would be putting women on the front lines. We are physically capable to do a lot. You know, there's different boundaries for women who go into the military, who have to do boot camp, than there are for men. We can work women as hard as they can, but they're not going to work as hard as men are.
I actually got accepted into the Air Force, which would have been like very nice because I would have had a little desk job. But unfortunately, I was waiting for a job, so I went into Army. So I went through boot camp, and it was hell, and it really messed my back up even more than it already was.
Wow.
Our rationale skills and our logical thinking is not conducive to be able to be on the front grounds, to be able to make, oh my gosh, if I step here, this is gonna blow up. Can I, like, we just think too emotionally. And that's why when we talked about leadership, it's the same thing. Being in those positions where like split-second decisions
shit like that
make or break, I don't think women have it in them to do that. And I don't think it's fair to men to be, I wouldn't, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to be next to a woman and want to be carried out if I needed to be, if my life was depending on it.
I think it seems like a lot of the same discussions keep happening with these prompts, which is back and forth of how much is it nature, how much is it nurture, how much are there like intrinsic biological differences between men and women, and how much does that dictate our behavior and our physiology, our biology, versus how much of that is due to social learning. So how much it's our culture in terms of,
Societal
let's say like
programming
on a
versus-
scale of 1 to 10, how high is your sex drive?
Very high. I'm a sex
I'm
coach.
not asking you
Oh,
you
I thought you
personally.
were.
Look, very high. I'm trying to find out. You feel what you talking about?
Come on, man.
I'm trying to fuck.
I like how
I wasn't asking you.
Sorry.
If you ask everyone that,
Yeah.
you'll see on average differences between men and women. And because of that, I don't think we should dictate whether or not someone is drafted into the military. Because ultimately, I think individuals should have the freedom to make certain choices.
It's a draft, though.
Yeah,
Sure,
and
yes.
they can go in if they want.
It's a
That's
draft,
the military.
and what you're saying you don't think people should be treated differently because there can
Exactly.
be metrics
It's
that fall outside
differential
of the data.
treatment. That's
Of
what I'm
course,
getting
yeah.
at.
So there is differential treatment, but I would say that it's completely reasonable to do that because not only are we focusing on the differential treatment, but we're focusing on outcome. So if I'm expecting somebody to go into combat, which is the reason I didn't walk forward, you should also expect that person on an individual basis to be able to meet the exact same standard as every other man that they are going
Which
to be
is what I
fighting
said.
with.
So the
Now-
military has made a change on that, by the way.
Yes,
they
they
have a
have.
new individual test that's based on what jobs you're going to do. If you're doing more combat
Sure.
roles, yes, you have to be stronger and tougher, and there are women meeting those standards. That's
Yes,
why
sure they Yes,
things
I
are
agree.
changing, and like I said, I'm not for the draft at all, really. I think it's
Agreed.
a really bad thing, but if
Yeah.
it was to happen, like, it should be across all boards, everybody gets treated equal.
If I could choose the possibility of women being drafted or not, I would choose that they're not. Well, I don't want
saying
my
anyone.
daughter to be drafted.
I think if you draft, at least account for the differences, please.
Female sex workers should be more respected.
Bruh. What? Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Nope. What the fuck, nigga? Hell no.
I don't know a ton about this topic, but I do think I subscribe to the idea that legitimizing sex work reduces the safety risks associated with that profession. It's a very old profession. It's been around for a while.
It's going to continue to be around.
I don't, I think it's also, there's tools out there like OnlyFans that I think has put a lot of the power in the hands of the creators.
A lot of people don't realize, like, nobody, like, actively chooses to be in sex work. You usually go into sex work because of social situation.
Stop the cap. Bruh. Stupid. Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
That motherfucker chatting right now. The big swole motherfucker just chatting his ass out right now, dog. What just came out of this man's mouth, bro? You said nobody chooses? Oh, you chose. Oh, you for sure chose. You chose that. Let me hear the nigga say this shit.
Yeah, I don't, I think it's also, there's tools out there like OnlyFans that I think has put a lot of the power in the hands of the creators.
A lot of people don't realize, like, nobody, like, actively chooses to be in sex work. You're usually going to sex work because of
Stop the cap.
situations. And if it's a black market, most people ask why I joined the military. It's like, because I was poor. Like, there was no other fucking reason. And I'm not saying it would get rid of exploitation, but if women have legal protections, like if I was a prostitute and I could go up to a cop and say, hey, I got beat up and my money stolen, not being worried about being arrested, like, I would be more likely to report crimes and get the people who are causing problems.
Yeah, and then for the people who just want to do it and want to just like own their sexuality, own their body, and use it as a commodity, a way to make money, they should be able to do that in a way that is safe, in a way that they own all of the videos, all of the content that they make, and in a way that is equitable for them.
When it comes to respect, there's two definitions. Respect either can mean like politeness, like you wouldn't shut the door on somebody that's like walking behind you, like be respectful. The other respect is usually if you do something that in the workplace that garners approval, you've completed a goal. So when we talk about respect when it comes to sex workers, should we be polite to them? Probably. That would be a human thing to do. I don't have to, but yeah. I prefer OnlyFans over the traditional porn industry.
Yeah, because you own it, and then it's
women
a lot
got
more protected.
sex trafficked.
But that agency is important to
I
know
think
that it's
so,
what
yeah.
you own, and to have that respect put onto you that like this is your content you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, now it's their copyrighted material. Before, when it was the old porn industry, they didn't have rights to those videos, and that's a huge thing. Like if I want to take my stuff down, you have to go to a court with a copyright case.
Bro, once it's on the internet, that's what they ain't realizing. Once that shit on the internet, just like this fucking video, it's on the internet, bro. Niggas can download it, re-record the shit. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? It's too late. Once you hit that upload, it's over. Over.
And it just...
So that's what happened with Mia Khalifa. That was her
Yeah.
whole thing, and luckily now she has a very successful career doing like sports commentating and stuff. But that's unfortunately, that's not the rule, that's the exception, where
But,
she's been able to be
it's
successful.
a role model.
Right off the bat, you said Mia Khalifa went from being a porn star to being a sports commentator. That is something that we should be directing women towards. It shouldn't be, okay, well, you know, she's gonna go do an OnlyFans or she's gonna be in 50 porn videos to get paid. When we're encouraging women to go out of their way to sell their bodies on the internet because that's a means to an end, we're not doing that the right way, and I don't think the feminist movement should be moving in the direction of normalizing sex work when we should be encouraging women to value themselves, value their body, value their talent, and take that elsewhere.
There's a lot of things in place.
Shit
for-
like that,
for
shit
women.
like that.
Like, yeah, there's obviously a need if they're in maybe a lower economic class or something, but at the end of the day, that's more of like a morality topic, you know? And so you can't really force that on everybody. I agree with you, but
Right. The other thing would be is that women are not happy when they're doing this. It's not empowering as a woman. You can go on Twitter and see these women who are in their 30s with an OnlyFans link in their bio, but with no kids, no husband, no specific thing to actually care about. It's all about materialistic things. These are the same women that you're seeing tweeting about how sad they are. They're tweeting
very
about how
generalized, though.
it's not generalized. It's the majority of those women. They are on antidepressants.
I'd like to speak because I've
Yeah.
actually been in the industry. So I was trafficked for a decade. You hit the nail. That's okay. You hit the nail on the head. I came from a very poor socioeconomic background. I was a product of the state. And so I speak from experience when I say it's not empowering, it's not glorifying, it's not owning your body. None of that stuff is true. No little girl, when they're 4 or 5, says, I want to grow up and be a hooker. OnlyFans is the biggest pimp of them all. They're still taking 20%, and your content still gets leaked a lot.
I agree. I'm in favor of any kind of exploitation. I also am uncomfortable by the idea of like women I know if they were in that industry. Like I admit, like it makes me feel uncomfortable. My
That's
gut
his
instinct.
So you have a daughter. I'm going to be having a daughter in 4 months.
Let's just
so,
go back to the daughter.
So, well, I mean, it's a good question because you're raising a
she
human
pregnant?
being for the future of society that we're going to all shape. How does it make you feel to raise a daughter in a world where you
Sex
can either
work is
preserve,
respected.
yeah, you can
It's a
either
great-
preserve her
it's a great
innocence,
question.
or you can step away and let her do the OnlyFans
How about
thing.
respect
It's a
femininity?
great question, and there's two
Femininity over
truths.
feminism.
There's two truths that I feel like I can hold at the same time. One is I would be very uncomfortable
It's only one
if
truth.
any female relative was or person that I loved was exploring that profession. Like I would have
You can't
some
even say it.
I'm trying to be as
But as a
like
father
professional as I can.
specifically,
Yeah,
'cause
as a
it
father
shows that you
specifically.
fail.
No.
No?
I don't think that I'd fail. I would have complex feelings to navigate.
Yeah.
On a higher level, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with that profession, and I respect people who do
Stop
it
the
in a
cap.
way that's fulfilling to
Bruh.
them and that brings them happiness. If someone's doing that job and it doesn't bring them joy, obviously I would not.
But most of
encourage
the
them.
women
But you have to
are doing it
understand it's
aren't
not bringing
fulfilled.
value or happiness to women.
I'm just trying not to wrap it all into one bundle because
Right.
there's going to be exceptions. I think you just want to be careful. with,
Exceptions
like,
don't make the rule.
Like, destroying people's lives.
I think should be negative though, so that young daughters don't run to her. And why don't we have
We
more
respect
respect
them
for
enough to
femininity
love them, to
versus
direct them a
respect for
different
sex work?
way.
These niggas on the panel is insane, though. I ain't gonna hold you. I shot.
Men should take birth control.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I think it should be choice.
Well, male birth control does exist. The problem is there hasn't been a lot of funding into
Right.
making it commercially available. It's about making it an equal responsibility all around, especially if there's a more effective way, like a pill. They can't just whine about the side effects when they know that it can significantly decrease a woman's quality of life when she's dealing with all those
Her
side effects.
chance of
I agree with
fertility, her chances of, I've never been on birth control, and I don't believe in taking it. I don't believe in putting anything that alters my body. I'm not saying either party should have it because personally
Damn,
I
she
don't
said
think
fuck the bird.
that anyone should put that stuff in their body. But if one's gonna do it, and then the other one should have the option of doing it.
Yeah, if we're in a world where women have the access to it and men have the access to it, should is just such a strong
It's
word.
so
Make the choice for your own body. That's why I didn't walk forward. But yeah, if you both have the option.
If men had the right to birth control, then they would ultimately be coinciding and deciding if a child should come to life. Right now, women ultimately
Have all
have
the
that
power.
decision. No matter what you say, she gets to decide if she goes through with it or not. And I think that's kind of
Facts.
problematic for many reasons. But yeah.
It goes back to like why I stepped forward with the military draft. Everyone needs to take responsibility for people's sexual and reproductive health.
But are you saying that because you know that women would want a guy to take birth control? Like that's more of like you want to please the feminists?
Please myself, because I'm a feminist.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like
Bruh.
male feminists have a tendency to have the talking points, and they're like,
Stupid.
women want us to take the birth control, so I guess we will. But like, do you actually think that you would?
Why wouldn't I?
Why don't you get a vasectomy?
I did.
Did you?
I have a vasectomy.
So there he did it.
Bruh.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And that right there is gonna do it for today's video, man. Cause these niggas on this
Come
bitch
on now,
is talking
dog.
crazy.
Come on,
Come
man.
on, we got a nut cut off his umbrella. What the fuck am I watching here? What am I watching here? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You gotta make this shit make sense to me. You gotta make it make sense to me, dog.
I decided to get a vasectomy because I wanted to play a small, very small part in having men take more responsibility for their sexual and reproductive health. And once I learned more about vasectomies and the procedures, it seemed like a no-brainer for me to get it. I've known for a few years that I didn't want children, and so I'd been thinking about getting a vasectomy. And then Roe v. Wade got overruled, and I just looked into it and I started doing more research on it. And free of insurance,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
no side effects. It's an outpatient procedure, so you go in 20 minutes, you're out. You go. I went to work the next day. You should not take it if you have any inkling of a doubt
Okay.
about not wanting biological children, because it's not 100% reversible.
But
Okay,
in
that's
some
good to
cases
know,
they
though.
do it. Yeah.
Right. It's preposterous to me that it's only about 5 to 6% of men in the U.S. have a vasectomy, because definitely more than 5 to 6% of men in the U.S. don't want to have
kids.
children.
That's correct.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
it's like
complicated
condom,
with hormones. I know why.
Vasectomy. There
Yeah.
is no.
Oh, I'm running the rubber ducky. Fuck what he talking about. Don't give a fuck what he talking about. I don't give a fuck if that shit took 5 minutes, dog. He talking crazy. He talking crazy.
Oh,
There's
there's no
nothing in
middle
between,
ground
yeah.
between the two.
Like-
And I think it's because of patriarchy. I know you hate me using that word, but I think it's
No,
because we
of
prioritize.
gynocentrism, that's why. Listen, we have advanced so much. You don't think they could come up with a pill at this point? Think about it.
They've come up with one. Just it's
It's
not
just that
commercial.
there's not a market for it.
Gynocentrism is like a.
Okay, so I want to hear from the disagreeers.
One thing that I do agree with is the fact that birth control has a lot of side effects. And if I'm not going to take that, and a lot of people aren't going to take that and have the side effects, then I don't think men should have to either. I think we live in an over-sexualized society where we're trying to, yes, find ways to solve this issue because you cannot stop everybody from doing it. Why not preserve and protect yourself and not go around and sleep with everybody?
But that is
There's a
message
very
is
Shit
very,
like that,
very
shit like that.
small group of
Right.
people that believe
That
that, mostly
might-
in the faith-based
Right.
communities.
You
But
know,
as
that's,
far
that's
as
your right to,
Yeah.
to be able to do that and make that decision, and
Right.
you know, we totally.
I just don't think
totally
it's ever
respect
going
it.
to get
I don't
like.
think it should be like imposed on everybody type of a thing.
Hey,
I'm
yo,
not
like,
for
fuck.
male birth control by force. If somebody wants to take that, yes, but I think there needs to be more comprehensive research and stuff. Female birth control is a little sketchy at times because there have been incidences where they've had to recall stuff because they kind of,
Multiple times, yeah.
I think one of them was like the old Yaz. They had to recall
Yeah.
it because it was causing like blood clots or something.
Yeah,
Like,
that's very
most
common.
birth controls cause.
Do.
yeah,
That's what's
and
common.
I hope we get to a place
Yeah.
where we're not using things where
Yeah.
hormone, because the other thing is a lot of people don't get blood tests to check their hormones on a regular basis. And actually, technically, birth control, female birth control, is an oral steroid.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's actually a 19 nor, and like people are taking steroids.
I think we're going to find out decades from now how harmful this actually
has
is, probably
been
for
for
both
the body.
sexes.
And like
Unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry is so based on profit that if they think men aren't going to take male birth control, they're not going to put in the research, they're not going to create it, they're not going to invest in it. So if we socialize
Man,
and
niggas
say,
ain't
hey,
taking that
this is a
shit,
responsibility men should also have, then we can get research into all birth control to make it safer and more effective for everyone, so that we don't, not everyone has to be like experiencing these horrible side
Oh
effects.
shit. Taking no birth control, dog. Fuck no. Y'all niggas taking birth control? Let me know in the comments, bro. Let me know if you made it this part of the video. We've been recording for 49 minutes. Damn, that 50 minutes.
They called him Mr. Pudding Poop.
Man, BC is crazy.
Being a mother is the most valuable thing a woman can do.
Facts.
You are a mother. I am almost, I mean, I am a mother, but she'll be born later. When you choose to have a kid, you're putting aside not necessarily what you want to do in the future, because I believe that women have every opportunity to still pursue what they want to do, even becoming a mother. It's very fulfilling, in a sense, to be that selfless, to bring a human being into the world and give everything to them and watch them grow up and become their own person, and to feel that love unconditionally that something materialistic will never give you.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember my life before my son. And it really makes me sad today that more women, in 10 years, more women in the United States will be opting out of marriage, out of children. That just is insane to me. It's innately in us to nurture and to love and to care and to create life. We literally give birth. It's an ability, a gift, and it's also, too much is given, much is required. It's a massive responsibility to raise a child, knowing that, as someone said earlier, your children are going to be the future of our planet. Wow,
I'm going to hear more from the disagreeers.
We're running the moms through the dirt. That's what I heard.
I think it's going to be the most valuable thing that I do in life, to have children and create a family. It's just such a subjective thing, and there's so many things that people contribute to the world. And for, I think, most women, when they leave this earth sitting on the deathbed, they probably will think the most powerful and valuable thing they've ever done is to create children. You know, there's like the famous quote, the greatest two things that you can leave on this earth when you die is art and children. And I think a lot of people are going to feel that way. I just don't want to subscribe value to somebody who doesn't see that as
I understand.
or somebody who can't have kids or just chooses not to.
Right.
You know, there's other ways to achieve greatness. But being a mom is a great thing. I think we all.
Being a good mom.
Does anyone?
Being a good mom, yes.
Yeah, a good mom. There's a lot of people who are moms, not everybody's a good mom.
I was raised by a single mom. On top of that, I was also adopted, so my birth mother had to make an incredibly difficult choice.
That's why a nigga like that. Single parent household. That's tough! Over for him.
I would decide not to pursue raising this child. And then my mother, who is a single mom, raised me and raised my siblings. The thing is she was also like a teacher and a professor and a principal and an administrator. Honestly, what feminism really should be about and is about is making it so that women, if they choose to be a mother and just do that for their entire life, they get as much respect and value and everything that they should be afforded as someone who decides to be a billionaire CEO as a woman.
The feminist movement is teaching women that it's the worst thing you could possibly do, because you're gonna lose your money and you're gonna.
I disagree, and I think sometimes some people live in echo chambers, and that might be a problem. But like, also, here's the other thing: are women not having children because it's economically difficult? Because in America, it's really hard to have the kids, really expensive. We don't have health care. We don't.
You're fine, but not everyone.
I know,
is
but
fine.
I'm saying
like,
that, you know,
like
what
me and my
the act of
girlfriend,
having
me-
a kid
me-
takes, two people.
Yes, but me and my girlfriend, we could probably afford a kid, but right now it's probably not good because of
And
our
you're making
situations.
that decision. And
But here's the other thing: not everybody has that decision to make, and it's actually economically really hard to have a kid in this country. Somebody's gonna have to stop working. Somebody's gonna have to make less money. There's not health care.
When I had my son, I had no means. I had been trafficked, obviously. I made the decision to see it as life and to have the child. And I had the child, and I was homeless in Newport Beach 8 years ago. When my son was just still nursing, 10 months old, worked around the clock and didn't stop until he was almost 5 years old, so until I got my degree. Well, 3
How'd you
credits.
handle childcare?
And the county pays for it. That's why I'm trying to say we do have resources. I was a full-time
Yeah,
student,
but that's
and because
Newport
of
Beach. Like that's not everywhere.
California is
And
one of the more
Dissect
If
every
you're a
county
single
and
mom-
see which counties offer it.
California is one of the more
Yeah.
exceptional.
So I do think there's resources if you look for them. And I don't think that just saying, oh, it's expensive to have a kid. Like,
Woe is me, I can't have a kid because I'm too poor. No, we live in a country where, like I said earlier, we have the opportunities to pursue what we can and what we want to do. And I
True.
don't think the feminist movement has any place to tell someone that they're too dumb or too poor to be able to have a kid.
Oh, absolutely not. No
But
one
that
should be
is what
saying-
the feminist movement is doing.
I agree. Yeah, maybe it's not as cool or fashionable to become a parent. Maybe like that's not, what people are valuing. Feminism to me, and I think to the other guys here, is just like viewing the sexes equally and feeling like they should have equal opportunity. I don't think it expands much beyond that. No one here is saying it's not cool to be a mom, or women shouldn't aspire to be a mom if that's going to be fulfilling to them. If that's like your path, by all means, I think you should do it. My wife was very specific and like direct with me when we started dating. She's like, I want to have kids. This is important to me. Are you on board or not? And that was a goal that we set for ourselves. But she's not just a mom. You know, there's other things. She has other ambitions. And she can do both of those things, and I think we all feel that that's possible. So when I hear you say, you know, like feminism is saying that like moms can't do this or don't be a mom, I'm not sharing that experience of
Well,
that,
that's
of that
good.
information.
We don't shame motherhood like our side. We promote it a lot of the times, but whenever you hear the opposite thing, it's usually from the feminists.
We didn't expect to see.
It's a crazy video, man. Feminist versus anti-feminist. You would think that the guys would be anti-feminist. Let's have a little twist to it. I like it though.
Men need to be masculine to keep their families safe.
Facts. Yeah, step your big ass forward, big dog.
look at him. I think there's a reason why people love Andrew Tate. And whatever you think about him in regards to what he's being accused of, which he has not been proven, but that's neither here nor there, men gravitated toward that. Why? Because he spoke to men in a sense of being a man, being a protector, and
Build
you
his
have to
presence,
be
dog.
in charge of all your faculties and think more critically. So those aspects of masculinity appealed to men because men want to innately protect. If I go on a date and you take me on a date, and he's like, no, I wouldn't, but that's okay. And you take me to a dinner, and you don't sit.
Where we going? Well, we can set it up right after this. What we doing?
Come on now, dog.
Like,
come on, man.
Fuck, dog.
Facing the door, I'm never going out on another date with you. It's not like we're helpless, like, I can't do anything, but having a man stand by you, protect you and your family and your children, masculinity is very important.
There are situations, like for example, like I'm like 230 pounds, my girlfriend's like 110, 5'2". Like there's no way if somebody breaks in the house that she's gonna fight them off, unless she has a gun on her or something. But so in that situation, I would fill that masculine role. But like anybody can be strong. Anybody, like in a situation where I'm not there, I would hope if we had kids, she could protect them and defend them like the best she could. Where I get the issue with like, oh, men need to be masculine. It's like, oh, men need to always go work and bring the money and all this stuff. Because my girlfriend, she's highly educated. She actually makes way more money than I do. Like,
Stop the cap.
Oh, I ain't mean to press that. That's the wrong shit.
Bruh.
I knew it. Did I not call that? Did I not call it? Did I not call it? Bro, there's just no way this big ass, strong ass nigga is sitting at the goddamn table being a damn feminist, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, bro. You gotta make that shit make sense, bro. You gotta make it make sense to me, bro. You got to, bro. This nigga, this big strong motherfucker right here. This woman make more than him. She's the breadwinner in the house. She makes the rules. She make more than him. She's the breadwinner in the house. She makes the rules. It all makes sense. Shout out to Fresh and Fit.
Way more. I work as a personal trainer. I don't make as much as he does. It is traditionally not very masculine for a woman to make more money than a man. And I know some people, they will be like, oh, you're not a real man if your woman makes more money than you. That's pathetic. Why?
I am not gonna say he's not a real man, but it causes problems when your woman makes more money than you in a relationship. She's not gonna respect you.
She with you sound like a loser, things like that. And I don't let that define my masculinity. I used to be insecure about it, but now I've grown more mature, and I feel like we're getting to a society where that's less of a problem. And like some people might disagree with this, and like, but it's just my opinion. I think to raise a son, it's easier if you're a man. It doesn't have to be a father. It could be an uncle or some positive role model. Same thing with a positive female role model, because like, I don't know what it's like to be like a female going through puberty, but I was a young man. Right now, a lot of our young men are misguided, and a lot of them are making bad decisions, and it's because like a lot of these young men get this testosterone boost, their brains aren't fully developed, and they like the vast majority of crimes are committed by 16 to 23-year-olds.
The reason I walk forward is about exactly what you just said. Men have these feelings and this aggression often deep inside them, and it's about using that aggression or those feelings that you have to protect rather than to inflict.
Fought with it.
I guess I'm just not entirely sure what, like, just masculinity in general has to do with keeping people safe.
Could I quickly respond? And that
Yeah.
I just think it's that men have that natural propensity towards it. If I think of roles in society that are protectors, we could say police officers, anybody who's going to take on that role of physical aggression in order to stop a bad situation from happening. Men tend to take those roles, and if you just look at the demographics of those roles in particular, men choose to take that on and they persevere and drive for it.
Let's say I get married to a guy and he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. That's fine. I enjoy working. So I actually wouldn't be totally opposed to me grabbing the gun if an intruder came in and being the one to kill somebody, if my husband's normally like the one protecting the kids, I guess. I don't think it necessarily matters who's protecting the family, just somebody must.
I like what you said about
Stop the cap.
Like my wife has a lot of intuition. I think she's better than me at like helping us avoid unsafe situations.
But to physically combat a stranger that's at your door with a gun, a mask on, and is breaking in.
Yeah, it's convenient to have someone who's more like him than.
But would you send your wife
But I
who's
just don't think
intuitive to
men.
use her intuitive powers to handle that, to protect, or would you use your masculine? My kid is my daughter.
This nigga not masculine, bro. Nigga, man, come on, man. We on the other side. He's sitting across from you. How the fuck that nigga masculine, man? You gotta, there's some shit you still gotta make sense to me. I don't know.
If we get
Am I
attacked, I'm gonna do
tripping?
everything I can to protect my family. That's not men having to be masculine. I just think that's people protecting those.
Come
they love.
on now,
I think
dog.
when women are put in situations.
Come on, man.
I'm not done with this
They're tremendous force. Obviously, they're more vulnerable because they're not typically.
Hey, Chad.
Strong on average.
I'm full of testosterone, right?
But I just don't. I don't think like this is something men have to do. I think you gotta be careful about putting pressure on men to embody some sort of like macho, tough, violent.
I don't think it's macho.
I've had men in my life who like embody that tough role, and it like creates uncomfortable environments. It sometimes invites aggression, danger to the situation. It's a certain role playing that I think men actually, it's beneficial to grow out of.
Why do you think it's a role though? What if that's just who they are?
It's innately in them.
Well, then I think they should go to therapy and work on it, or
But
like
why do
play
you
a
think
sport and get out that aggression.
So I
What?
understand.
Aggression isn't bad.
I always hear from other male feminists like, oh, that guy's trying to be a macho guy. Why?
Okay,
Why
well,
is
so
it
here's the
insecure?
thing. I think sometimes it's not genuine. He's playing a character. Actually, I'm usually the one to de-escalate situations because of how I look and how I am presented. So I de-escalate. And actually, I always tell people I always encourage young men, avoid the fight.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it, stay away. But if you have to, obviously do what you have to do, like survive.
Facts.
I would say to women or anything. But don't start and actually try to deter, get away, because violence should be always the last resort.
It takes a humble
Violence
man
only
to
brings
walk
more
away from a
violence.
fight.
But I feel him on that.
ADT Professionals
If they ain't gotta go there, don't take it there. You know what I mean? If they ain't gotta go there, don't take it there. But if he gotta go there, If it gotta go there and you forcing it to go there, we're gonna have to take it there. Don't let that go over your head. It's on crazy, man. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts and opinions below, man. I'm always down there showing love. I think this mud about over with, too. I can't believe these niggas really think the way they think, bro.
The differences between men and women should be celebrated.
I'm talking about poles of energy. We have polarity in everything in the universe, from the battery. You can't put two negatives into a battery and it work. You can't put two positives, has to go flop. So there's poles day and night. Everything, yin yang, it's energy, and we are energy.
I don't think everything's polar, though.
It is, though.
Why apply one lens to the whole
Well, you just stepped
universe?
forward with the prompt that said that masculine men and women's
Well,
differences
yeah.
should be celebrated.
I want to celebrate the difference between men and women, but I feel like you have this tendency to apply sometimes like these quantum or
because
like
it is, because we live in a quantum universe of
ideas
masculine and
to
feminine
everything.
energy.
But you
It
guys
just
do
doesn't
the
have to
same
be
thing too, though.
I think he's just saying to celebrate differences doesn't mean we exist on two opposite poles, and that
Yeah,
and we've spent
I'm saying that.
Yeah,
So
like,
I'm saying that.
There's things exist in nature that are triangles or triads. Like not everything's yin and yang. You know.
But it kind of is. I actually
Well-
believe that the masculine energy is elevated in a sense that they have more responsibility as protector, provider. And so for women, we like lean to them and we look up to them as the leader. So not to say that they're not equal, but there's a little bit more responsibility in the masculine field. And without those outlines of structure, then we have chaos and we don't have a society. We have no more children because women aren't having children anymore.
I don't think I fear chaos as much as you. You threw in a little nugget. I have to take it. You do see women as not.
I don't see them as the same level as men.
I just
You're right.
wouldn't. I would encourage you, like, from a loving place, to just maybe challenge that. Like, how might your experience change if you saw yourself?
I think women are 4 quarters, a guy is $1. I think they're equal, and they're just not the same.
Yeah, I think that the prompt and what I really took to is that it's so important for you guys to celebrate your femininity and celebrate what it means to be a woman for you, and we will joyfully celebrate that with you, right? And likewise to us. However we want to express our masculinity, that should be celebrated, right?
And in whichever way you had to do it, and like I said, I don't think it's as rigid as like we want society, like some people want us to think it is, but it should be celebrated because there are innate differences that are like just biological, and there's going to be those differences, and there shouldn't be anything frowned upon, like women being like more softer or emotional. It shouldn't be something frowned upon. But if a man chooses to be that, that shouldn't be like, that's feminine, that's not masculine. That's we should celebrate those qualities in people.
Can the disagree a step forward?
Men are more enslaved than ever before.
This is a tough.
Men are more enslaved than ever before.
Those qualities in people.
Can the disagree a step forward?
Men are more enslaved than ever before.
This is a tough one, huh?
I agree with most of what everyone said. It's just the should. I agree that differences between men and women can be celebrated, and I celebrate it. I think most people do to some extent. Do as you please. Yeah.
I feel like it's important to celebrate it because I know for me, part of with gender dysphoria, I really enjoyed, emulating and having masculine traits and being a man. So being able to celebrate that and say, all right, fantastic, I can celebrate that this is a different thing than what my sex assigned at birth would tend to go for, but celebrating both sides of those things and the dichotomy that may be different is really essential to allowing anyone to really just express themselves the way they want to.
So we got a woman that's a man sitting on the feminine side.
Bruh. What?
Shit confusing, right?
Come on now, dog.
I know, Bootsy.
Come on, man.
That shit confusing as fuck.
Thank you guys. You guys were all amazing.
Alright, man. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts and opinions below, man. Whole hour video. Like I said, man, y'all been, hey, y'all chill. We got one more whole bag left if you want it. Here you go. But anyways, man, appreciate the love and support, man. Y'all be sure to drop a like on the video, man. Hit that sub button if y'all want to see more content like this, man. We're on the ground to that big 200 subscribers. That being said, be sure to check out one of the videos at the end of the screen because it's definitely a banger. I would miss it if I was you.